All right, let's wrap up the 1 o'clock games. Dallas Cowboys 43, Los Angeles Rams 20. It was tight early on, and then the Cowboys started to run away with it. Pick six. I mean, it was 7-7 at one point.
Yeah. At one point, it was quite tight.
Sorry.
It was start of the game.
It was 7-3 at one point.
Yeah. The game started 0-0, and then quite quickly it became not close.
Yeah, it wasn't close by the end of the first. Matthew Stafford, pick six to Deron Bland. The throw was so far off on that, it looked like a miscommunication. Cooper Kupp runs an out. Stafford leaves it way behind. Bland with an easy pick six. Dude continues to make plays. And then this was like your classic Dallas Cowboys beatdown, right? You got a blocked punt for a safety. And then on top of that, Dak Prescott playing outstanding. I mean, he just wasn't missing a ton of throws. His first touchdown, beautiful seam route to Jake Ferguson. And then CeeDee Lamb just took over. Lamb was unstoppable in this game. And you have those games, right? 12 catches for 158, 2 scores. Brandon Cooks finds the end zone late to get up to 43. But when Dak and CeeDee Lamb are cooking and you have – I mean, Dak had made one of those passes to Ferguson earlier in the year, and I think he dropped it, or maybe one of the other tight ends dropped it. When those guys are catching passes – I mean, this is when Dallas's offense looks really good. It was a pretty clean game all the way across for the Cowboys.
Yeah, that was a great catch by Jake Ferguson. It was a nice pass, but the catch was spectacular. The only thing that was really working well for the Rams early is Aaron Donald in the first quarter was causing all kinds of problems. He had 3 pressures in the game, and all 3 of them came in the first quarter. Like early in the game, Donald looked like he was going to be a problem and potentially a game changer for the Rams, and then Dallas managed to get that under control and stop that being a problem. The touchdown of Jake Ferguson was really nice. The pick six was obviously, I agree, it was a weird play. Like I wrote it down, was that a miscommunication at the time? There's no evidence that it was, but it was such a bad throw that you almost assume that it has to be.
Even if Kupp runs a little, it's like a hitch or an out. Even if he runs a little hitch, Bland is probably
That's the thing. It doesn't make any sense for it to be a miscommunication because it was never good. Even if he runs a different route, it wasn't good. It's just it was so far off that you generally don't see a pass from a guy as good as Stafford that bad without some kind of explanation for it. But anyway, that was a big turning point. And then like that sequence that really completely put the game out of control was Micah Parsons gets a really big sack on third down, right? And then they block the punt for a safety and then immediately like return the free kick most of the way to set them up, and then touchdown. Now it's 26-3, and you're like, okay, this is gone.
I don't know how do the Cowboys have these games where they get like, does Stats and Info have this? One of those, here's the only game in NFL history where the team had a blocked punt and a pick six and a 50-yard return. Like, it feels like they always come in bunches for the Cowboys. Last year, was it Sunday Night Football against the Colts? They dropped 33 in like a quarter. I mean, just how do they have these games where it is just 3-phase domination? And it's usually against bad teams, right? It's usually against bad teams. But it is 3-phase. It is Micah Parsons being unblockable. It is defense causing turnovers and finding the end zone and special teams, and Dak is looking good. Like, the whole thing always seems to come together. That's what Dallas needs to bottle up for the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if it's a consequence of kind of, almost deliberately targeting sort of volatile, high-leverage playmakers on all sides of the ball. Like, they have a good special teams unit, so that's going to help. But returns are, by definition, you don't get them very often. They're big plays here and there with a guy like Keontae Turpin, and then they just don't happen because you don't get that opportunity. The defense, like Micah Parsons is amazing, but guys like Deron Bland and Trayvon Diggs, when he's out there, these are boom or bust type of players. And so when it hits, it looks great. And then even the offense is kind of like that. Like, it can cook every now and again, but doesn't always. So it's like a unit. It's like a roster that's set up to be kind of boom or bust. And you get either games like this where in like a few minute turn they're able to put up like 21 points and blow the game out of the water, or you get games like the 49ers where like just nothing functions and we look terrible.
It was also one of those games. So Matthew Stafford was banged up throughout the game. I mean, he's at the point of his career. He's dealt with so many, I don't want to say minor injuries, because he had that whole back injury with Detroit that just randomly ended his season. Didn't feel bad until they said your season's over. Last year, got banged up. I mean, he's at the point where he's dealt with so many injuries. Hand was already hurting, hits his thumb, because he's just taking so many hits, man, and he's tough and trying to make those throws in a tight pocket. So his thumb is wrecked. I mean, I was wincing watching his thumb hit the helmet on the throw. And then on top of that, it didn't matter in the game, but they ran the Rams ran a Philly special to throw the ball to Stafford on a 2-point conversion.
Yeah.
After he's got a busted thumb, and he had to make a diving catch and then reach forward, to get within 3 scores on the. It's like, I don't know. It's just so funny to me, and also sad at the same time. Like, it's a great 2-point call that you had on your call sheet, but at some point, like, listen, really quick, for every coach that says, I can't go for it on 4th down. Hey, the numbers don't know when my left guard's getting whooped. They don't know. They don't know it. They can't figure it out. Yet, you, the coach, don't know that your franchise quarterback in a 3-score game has a busted thumb. Maybe you should cross the Philly special off for the 2-point conversion, save it for a couple weeks from now. That you don't know that? You should probably know that. I just got fired up. Sorry.
I mean, maybe he was just going with the analytics. The analytics said Philly special.
No. So I don't know. The analytics didn't know that Stafford had a busted thumb.
Analytics didn't know that.
Analytics did it.
Analytics' fault. So that's the second explanation that I hadn't considered. Now remember, like as you said, he's hurt to the point where Brett Rippon comes into this game, right? He leaves the game because his thumb is wrecked.
On top of every time Matthew Stafford plays football, I don't know if he's got multiple busted ribs and back injuries. That's on top of the hand, because he's always just grimacing and in pain.
So there are now 2 possible explanations for that play call, the first of which I hadn't considered until you brought it up there. Number 1, McVay is simply a slave to the analytics, and the analytics can't tell you. They didn't know that Stafford had a busted thumb, so they said, call Philly special, it'll work, and it did, right? Number 2, Sean McVay had a baby like a week ago. The man might simply be sleep deprived and is therefore calling Philly special for his quarterback with a busted hand.
What does sleep deprivation look like for the coach who already gets to the office at 3?
Yeah. I don't know, but it can't be good.
There's no way McVay's losing more sleep, because the times when the baby keeps waking up in the middle of the night, the dude's already at the office anyway.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
I mean, he's got to sleep at some point. And if the baby isn't sleeping at that time, he's not sleeping either anymore.
So, yeah, it's all adding up now. McVay did say the lack of sleep is real.
Yeah.
I mean, he's probably already working off 4.5 hours, so he's down to like 2.
Right. So there, you just didn't,
You go with the Kramer sleeping strategy, every 20 minutes. You sleep 20 minutes every hour. Just mix in some naps.
So the brain is clouded, and he forgot, Yeah, I know I just saw the guy wreck his thumb, but this is the play right here.
It's just hilarious to me. And McVay has made that point. Like, you don't know. You don't know what my left guard's doing in that game.
Yeah. That is a pretty big black eye for the, hey, look, the numbers are not on top of things during a game, right? We're able to take into account all these little weird things that you're not thinking about. Well, that was a pretty big one, and you still dialed up the play.
Anyway, I'm not trying to pick on Sean. It's just I noticed it. It was a funny thing. Dominant win by Dallas. They have the Phillies. Oh, my gosh. The Eagles next week.
Yeah.
How did that come out? They're not playing. The Phillies got eliminated.
That's why they're not playing.
That's why they're not playing. Yeah, that's it. Dallas 5-2. Rams fall to 3-5.